Microphone. I'm calling to order Cuyahoga County Human Resources Appointments and Equity Committee, meeting Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Cuyahoga County Administrative Headquarters, C. Ellen Conley, Council Chambers, 4th floor, 10 a.m. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Mr. Sweeney.
Present.
Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Gallagher is absent at the moment. Ms. Conwell. Ms. Turner.
Present.
Mr. Hauser. Mr. Hauser is present. You have a quorum, and let the record reflect that Councilmember Schlepper is also in attendance.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes from the May 20th, 2005 meeting?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, minutes are approved. Madam Clerk, would you please continue with matters referred to the committee? And I'd like to see if we can get Albert up here first, because we want to make sure he gets back to work and helps provide his services to the Cuyahoga County residents, which he does very well every day.
Resolution 2025-0195, adopting various changes to the Cuyahoga County non-bargaining classification plan.
Good morning, Chairman Sweeney. Thank you for taking this out of order. Members of the committee, I'm Albert Bouchahine, the Manager of Classification and Compensation for the Personnel Review Commission. Before you for your consideration today are modifications to the county's non-bargaining classification plan, changes in department's operational needs and routine maintenance necessitate the creation of 3 new classifications and the revision of 4 existing classifications. All the modifications before you were prepared by the PRC Class and Comp staff, who works closely with the Department of Human Resources and the management teams to ensure that they're aware of these changes proposed before you. In accordance with PRC rules, the proposed changes were posted on the PRC's website prior to your consideration and were approved at their May 7th, 2025 meeting. Mr. Chairman, due to the urgency in filling the Criminal Records Unit Supervisor position at the Sheriff's Department, I'm requesting that this move forward under second reading suspension of rule. I thank you for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. This is just hard work of the PRC and you, just making sure everything's in order.
Correct. This is a combination of routine maintenance and requests for new positions that came in this particular case from departments.
Perfect. Any questions? Madam Vice President?
Through the chair to Albert, I notice your proposed new classifications, the Child Welfare Contracted Service Specialist, is that for DCFS?
It is. It's part of the Combined Services Unit, which really functions for all of HHS. These positions will be overseeing and paying daycare, outside vendors that are daycare providers.
Okay. In any of the proposed revised classifications, was there anything that connected to why these new proposed new classifications started? With the reasoning of why we needed these two?
Through Chair to Councilwoman Conwell, all of these are routine maintenance. They're part of the maintenance cycle that we go through every 4 years to ensure that every classification is updated to be current as possible.
So the proposed new classifications, they're proposed as new, but not necessarily anyone's in those roles yet?
There's 2 of them will be filled through posting. The manager position is currently being filled by a person that's a supervisor of social services. That really doesn't accurately reflect the work that they do. So we created a classification that they'll be reassigned to once the classification becomes active.
Okay, so they'll be moving in as a manager, but we should later see a delineation of what the current role they're in now.
Correct,
Okay.
the classification, and on the county's Department of Human Resources, you'll see a reassignment on their monthly personnel agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Through the chair.
Chairwoman?
Thank you. What are the budgetary implications?
Mr. Chairman, Councilwoman Turner, there are not all of these new classifications that they will hire for, these are all single incumbent classifications, and they have to be approved by their deputies and deputy chief of staff, et cetera. So unless they're already approved and in their budget, They wouldn't have the go-ahead to post them. With respect to the 4 classifications that are being updated, none of these had any change to their pay grade, so there is no fiscal impact.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Albert, very good. Is there a motion to pass ordinance number, or resolution number 2025? Nope, it's, where is it? Yeah, I have to get the, R 2025-0195.
So moved.
Second reading under suspension.
Thank you. Second reading suspension.
Please.
Good, everybody? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None. Ordinance number, or resolution 2025-0195 stands approved as read. Thank you, Meredith, for the reminder. And let's move to this. Should we skip and make Marquez go last?
Thank you.
I'm just kidding. Please continue with the proper order.
And let the record reflect that Mr. Gallagher is in attendance. And also for the record, there was no public comment submitted.
Thank you.
Resolution 2025-0182, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Marquez L. Brown to serve on the Cleveland Cuyahoga County Workforce Development Board for the term July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028.
Thank you, and we are recommending the reappointment of Mr. Brown to serve on the Workforce Development Board. We do not need a second reading suspension.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome. It's Marquise Brown. But good morning, Chairman Sweeney, Vice Chair Gallagher, Vice President Conwell, other members of council. I want to thank you for the opportunity to address you today regarding my reappointment to the Cleveland Cuyahoga County Workforce Development Board, which is now called Greater Cleveland Works. I will be honored if confirmed to serve another term on the Workforce Development Board to vigorously advocate for the empowerment of Cuyahoga County residents and to maximize their potential and improve their skills and knowledge. I believe that my background as the Cleveland Regional Director of AFSCME Ohio Council Wait, where I serve as the Chief Negotiator and Union Representative for the largest public service union representing over 6,000 members, my work in HR and labor relations and in management makes me uniquely qualified for this role. I've negotiated wages, benefits, other terms and conditions of employment, recruited employees to build a diverse workforce and teams, and created onboarding programs and to help and design training for employees. I also have collaborated with employees and management to find innovative solutions to increase the longevity of employees and to ensure the employer was an employment of choice. In my spare time, I also serve as the president of the North Shore AFL-CIO, representing 85,000 workers and over 150 unions. In that role, I engage with private sector and public sector representatives on workforce challenges, trends, and solutions. Over the last 3 years on the Workforce Development Board, it has been a very rewarding experience, especially going from what the organization was to now a new nonprofit, and working with a team who are truly experts in connecting people with quality jobs, helping employers find and recruit talent, and to collaborate with partners to improve job quality and to help grow our regional economy. With the much needed work ahead of the Cuyahoga County Workforce Development Board, especially here, I'm excited to continue to make a difference on this board. Because of these reasons, I respectfully ask you to support my nomination for another term on the board, and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Very good presentation, and at least I'm consistent putting your name on.
Yeah.
Marquise, what I like about you is thanks for signing up again, first and foremost. And this board, we all know, and me in particular, the journey of this board.
Yeah.
It was created with every good intention, how it started, how it got off the rails, and how it exploded and imploded. Now I'm just watching it over the last 4 years maybe, and then seeing the quality of individuals that are brought forth by the administration to continue or be new to add value. And I like to look at each one of them and see what role they play, because a bunch of same people aren't as effective. But I like, the word that comes to mind for you is the disruptor, but in a good way.
Yeah.
You're one of the people that I know many people but you are not shy about speaking your mind and staying true to it. So I think that's a role that's important and well executed by you. So that's my comments, and we met the president. What do you think about him, of the board?
Oh,
He's a
Ethan?
cool dude.
Yeah, we work very well together.
exciting.
Yeah. It's, coming onto the board, 3 years ago, not really knowing the direction it was going to go in with the new CEO and meeting other board members has been an incredible experience. When I was appointed by the county executive, Budish, before, one thing he said, I want you to promise to go in there and shake things up. I want you to promise that you're going to advocate for training dollars that be spent on making sure that we get people in the jobs. And I told him that I would be no easy on them I was on him in negotiations with here at the county.
And true to your word.
Try to
Okay.
be.
Any questions, Madam Vice
I'd like
President?
to have my name added and ask why Greater Cleveland Works. Why did we change the name?
Yeah, so the Cuyahoga County Workforce Development Board, so it has been, I guess, a pseudo-government entity where you had appointments from the city of Cleveland, you had appointments from the mayor, you had employees that were working for the city of Cleveland, employees that were working for Cuyahoga County. And we saw the way to make sure that we could leverage resources and make sure we have a more impact in the workforce ecosystem was to go to a nonprofit board. And that's something that we've been transitioning over to. And with that, we changed the name as well to make sure people understood the work that we were doing.
And it was time for a rebrand.
Absolutely, it's time for a rebrand. When you just have Cleveland Cuyahoga Workforce Development Board, yes, that is the name of it. That is what people, but it was not something that people easily identified. And looking across the country at some of our peers in Pittsburgh and Chicago and Columbus, saw the avenues they took, we decided to do something very similar to that with the support of both the administration here as well as with the city of Cleveland.
Yeah, I was talking about a rebrand with what people thought about it, and not just internally, outside folks. And how bad it was sticking with that name.
Absolutely.
I am excited, and I'm for now and in the future. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Through the
Madam
chair.
Vice President?
Thank
I mean, Madam Chairwoman?
You started on this board in what year?
So 3 years ago, so 2023.
3. What have been some of the challenges, opportunities, and many are still recovering from
Yeah.
the pandemic. Challenges, opportunities, and what's the outlook?
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge was our structure. So when you have a structure that half the staff is appointed by the county executive office and the other half is appointed by the city of Cleveland, it left our CEO, who at the time was a city of Cleveland employee, it left her in a dilemma of how to manage staff, what to do when the city has one policy and the county has another policy. And because it was a government entity, we were not able to take grants, and so we had foundations who had millions of dollars to help spend in workforce development, and they were not able to do so because of our structure. And with that, we saw how can we make sure that we can be able to respond to the challenges of today, especially now in the climate that we're dealing with. And Greater Cleveland Works, the Cleveland Workforce Development Board is kind of like the hub for helping federal workers get training and something like that. It would have been tougher to do that underneath the previous model. The one thing that I wanted to make sure, as being the union person that I am, was to make sure that first, when we switched over to that nonprofit board, was that the folks that were currently there would maintain employment there or somewhere else. That was very important to me. The other thing was that because they are currently in OPERS, they'll have the opportunity to keep their OPERS, and we're able to achieve that, and to make sure that we can truly align ourselves with our mission. The other thing is that we wanted to make sure one thing I fight for is to make sure there's not one industry that's dominating the Workforce Development Board, because it is so vitally important that we look out for all of Cuyahoga County, not one interest. So looking at our policies to make sure that if we are giving training dollars and funding dollars to one sector, to look at how do we change our policies to make sure it's across the field. And so the one thing that was exciting for me was to do a little bit of a study, because, in order to maintain a CDL, it's very costly. It can be $4,000 to $6,000 to obtain a CDL due to a Trump law that changed back in 2022. So before, you just go ahead, take your CDL, do some training, you pay the CDL fee. But that's not the issue now. And so now you have employers who have a hard time, especially in the public sector, finding someone. So when we look to see what we're doing at the Workforce Development Board, we saw that a lot of people that were coming through our doors to get a CDL were going into the over-the-road trucking and trying to figure out how we work with employers to link them with the board and to also link them with other opportunities to make sure they can attract and retain staff. So those are some of the challenges that we saw. I think that what us going through, as Chairman Sweeney said, going through a rebranding, going through a strategic plan to really make sure that we can address the needs of today, looking at some of the emerging fields. Like one is, IT, right? There are tens of thousands of IT jobs that are left open. And what we're doing is working with other companies to make sure that we can help skill up their workforce, as well as, try to find people who want to go into that IT field or other fields and give them a link to that employer. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Hauser?
I won't be long. To the chairman, to the speaker, me and Marquise worked together. My very first political campaign was the We Are Ohio campaign, where Marquise was the political director, if I remember it right. And even though we often did not see eye to eye, I do respect Marquise' negotiating skills and what he brings to the table. So I just would like my name to be added as well. Thank you.
Sounds good. Would you like a rebuttal?
Not at all. Thank you, Councilman.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'd like my name added as well.
My name as well.
Good. Do I have a motion to pass this under? or,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
R 2025-0182 stands confirmed. Madam Clerk, please continue.
Resolution 2025-0184, confirming the county executive's appointment of LaToya Logan to serve on the Cuyahoga County Community Corrections Planning Board for the term January 2nd, 2025 through January 1st, 2028.
Director?
Thank you very much. We are requesting a second reading suspension of the rules for Ms. Logan.
Sounds good.
Good morning. My name is LaToya Logan. I am the founder and CEO of Project Lift Services. I am excited, Chair and members of Council, to present my qualifications and interests in serving on the Community Corrections Planning Board. I've been a social worker in the field of criminal justice for 22 years, serving in prevention, diversion, incarceration, and reentry in both the juvenile and adult systems. At Project Lift, we have worked with Judge Sheehan along with Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court, Department of Rehabilitation Services, and in reentry services to create what I call transformative reentry services. When I think about what this particular planning board is endeavored to do is to consider how do we want 87% of incarcerated people to return to our community. So it isn't just about putting them away for a bit. It's about really creating opportunities and access points for transformative reentry that focuses on body, mind, social, and long-term sustainability. In our work, I hire individuals from this field and train them to be effective members, not just of society, but in the endeavors to support reentry services. We at Project Lift have created a credible messaging program where we train individuals with lived experience who have shown credible changes in their life to be representatives of what it looks like to excel and to move forward. Additionally, we we believe in restorative justice practices. Myself included, am a practitioner and a master trainer. And what I love about restorative justice is that it focuses on three things. Number one, accountability. We each have a responsibility for thinking about how individuals are impacted by our system. Number two, harms. What can we do to repair those harms so that we prevent further harm, but also create what is called long-term sustainability in their lives? And finally, relationships. We do not achieve safety or wellness without building meaningful relationships with those that have been affected, whether directly or indirectly, by crime, instability, and usually divestment from our community. Now more than ever, we need to get creative, we need to be innovative, and we need to be fearless in how we choose to support those who are returning to our communities and those who unfortunately who will have to go away and serve time. We know that if we can transform one of their lives, that has a ripple effect for every single person they will come in contact with. So I implore you to definitely approve me, but also to consider how we can work together to strengthen the services across our community. And with that, I open for all questions.
Wow. I'm inspired. That was pretty passionate. You can breathe now. You did a great job. You love this stuff.
I do.
You just want to make sure you can help, but also make change and drive this. The strong, independent women, they get focused, they drive things. That's Central Via. How's the board makeup, Director? That, you know?
Yes, there are 19 members of the Corrections Planning Board, and per their bylaws and ORC, they represent a number of different spheres and appointing authorities. There are 6 appointments that come from the county executive. Ms. Logan would represent a member of the public who has at some point been a victim of crime, but of course, because of her expertise, it was really important for us to bring her on.
Perfect. And I'm quite confident with the board of 19, it's kind of big, but you're not going to blend in.
No.
Any questions?
I don't have a question, just a statement. In terms of, we should really try to get to you. Someone also, next time an appointment comes up, someone that has been a victim of crime.
I have.
Oh, you have?
Yes,
Okay, I
ma'am.
thought he said you hadn't. Okay, good. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Madam Chairwoman?
Thank you. Ms. Logan, good morning.
Good morning.
This quote that you submitted, I'm passionately committed to improving services to underserved and often dismissed populations. I want to focus on the dismissed populations part of the quote. Having sat on this board, to the chairman's point, it's a big board, and many of the existing members are already they're the system, and we know that we're not perfect. The system is not perfect, so I'm wondering how you would use your expertise, the experience that you've had professionally as well as someone who has been impacted by crime. How will you ensure that your perspective and your voice is carried among the giants already on this board they are the system? It's the prosecutor. There's some judges. It's probation.
I can walk us through this, Madam Councilwoman. So this includes the Regional Director of Corrections, in this case, Sheriff Patel, the presiding judge of the Common Pleas Court, Honorable Brendan Jay Sheehan, the Chief Public Defender, so Cullen Sweeney, the city's the largest municipality's Chief of Police, City of Cleveland, Chief Todd, Nestor Rivera is the Director of Corrections. Sheriff Patel is represented as the county sheriff. Chief Prosecutor Michael O'Malley is on this. The county executive himself is on this. Scott Osicki as the Director of the Adams Board. Amber Gibbs as the Director of the Board of Developmental Disabilities. There are 2 members of Common Pleas Court on there, Judge Shaughnessy, and there's an ex officio member, Gregory Popovich, Tammy Sherman as the Chief Probation Officer, Mike Randall representing the Nancy R. McDonald Community-Based Correction Facility, and then there are 6 that are appointed through the county process. That includes Ms. Logan, and then we have the nominee of Judge J.J. Costello, who will be up in a little bit.
Bam. So, having said all that, how do you ensure that your voice does not get quelled in a space with brilliant public servants, very caring public servants who do so much for us already? How do you go about complementing the work? And you talked about accountability, holding the system accountable.
Thank you, Chairwoman Turner. I appreciate the question, and it's an appropriate question. In my career as a social worker, oftentimes we are considered to be people who care, and while we do, I consider myself to be a professional, which means I have a responsibility to be a change agent. I've served on a community police commission for 6 years and was elected 3 times to be the chairperson. And that wasn't simply because I was there as a nice person. It was because I was able to achieve what other individuals could not. I understand that this is not work that is about feelings. Our feelings should inform what we do, but logic, integrity, and accountability should make those decisions clear for us. I have never had any difficulty in ensuring that we can work together. We don't have to always agree, but if we are purposed with one intention of serving our community, then we will always be able to find the opportunities for growth within that. As a founder of a nonprofit where we specifically serve Black males 14 and over, and I founded this organization with my own retirement money and built it into a $1.1 million nonprofit by building relationships at the state, at the local, and at the federal level, by working with individuals who first said, well, why? So I believe that my experience and qualifications, as well as my passion in this work and resume of accomplishments in this work, will clearly be articulated. I also want to add that one of the reasons we work with Judge Sheehan's specialized court docket in VIP is not because I approached him, it's because Judge Sheehan approached us because we got results. And we love that partnership because it isn't just about giving a person a pass, it's about truly implementing what accountability looks like. You have to have insight, you have to have support, and it has to be sustainable. And I'm a person who believes that the outcomes are what we have to focus on, not just the presentation.
Welcome to the board. Thank you.
Michael, Mr. Chairman?
Just in closing, through the chairman to the speaker, LaToya, I am familiar with the great work you do in the community, so would love to add my name to your nomination. I appreciate your focus on African-American males, which I think is a population that gets overlooked often, and then I think there might also be opportunity to see how we can partner long-term. I know Councilman Starr at the city is thinking about creating a African-American male commission. I think there's opportunities so you can also ingratiate yourself in the space where we can help each other. So love to follow up with you, but keep on keeping on and continue the great work you're doing.
Thank you.
I'd like to add my name as well.
I'll add mine, but Robert Schlepper, councilman, would like to make a comment for the first time in the HR and Appointment Committee.
Thank you so much, and through the chair, thank you so much for being here. I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I had the chance to take a look at your text. She's being very modest in the fact that she is also a published author, and I wanted to just read a little excerpt from your text, if you're okay with that.
Please.
And it's just a little bit of a discussion about your text. So, myths create fear that conceal the truth, everything depends on deconstructing the myths. The Case of the Brownie is an exploration of historical and current events, framing the perception of Black masculinity in the context of racial stigma and societal expectations. Each chapter examines critical topics and the adversarial relationship between Black males and mental health, school, or criminal justice systems. Discussions concerning over-incarceration, increase in suicide, violence, addiction, among other ills, continues to be a focal point without any tangible solutions. So this text is written for the social worker seeking a better understanding of how to treat Black males, or the mother attempting to understand and support her son's needs. It provides a necessary alternate perspective for police officers and teachers to develop solutions aimed at destroying the school-to-prison pipeline. What an incredibly powerful testament to your work and obviously your skill as a practitioner. I also see that you're an educator, so I just wanted to say, as an educator myself, and someone that has worked in this field and worked in urban spaces, particularly with young adults, thank you for the work that you've done, and thank you for being here today. I would definitely like to add my name as well, please.
Thank you, and thank you for reading my book.
Absolutely. That's cool. Please add Michael's name, so we got everybody. Keep it going.
Thank you so much
Can't
for your
thank you
time.
enough.
I appreciate it.
Second reading? Second
Yes,
reading
please.
suspension, do I have a motion?
Um,
Do I have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. R 2025-0184 stands approved as read. Madam Clerk, let's continue on.
Resolution 2025-0186, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Emily Garpacetti to serve on the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority Board of Trustees for the term March 1st, 2025 through February 29th, 2028.
Thank you, and we are requesting a second reading suspension of the rules for Ms. Passetti's appointment.
Thank you very much. Ms. Persetti, welcome.
Thank you. Thank
Have
you very
fun?
much.
Did you have fun on the board?
Oh, yes.
it
It's been a little
rewarding?
over a year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Cool. Let's hear what you want to say. And
Well, I'll just say, first of all, I'm really humbled. The presentations by Marquise and LaToya, they are hard acts to follow. My name is Emily Garpacetti. I am a senior principal at the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. Professionally there, I focus on lower income communities, economic and regional development. I've been doing that my whole career with a focus on equitable economic development and specifically place-based initiatives. I was recently appointed to the Cleveland Foundation Board, and I also serve on the Cleveland Neighborhood Progress Board. I've had the honor of being on the GCRTA board for a little over a year and welcome the opportunity to continue to serve. This past year has really reinforced my belief that the RTA is a vital resource for residents, connecting them not only to jobs, but childcare, events, entertainment, healthcare, and many other things to help people go on about their daily lives. I think it continues to have tremendous potential to continue to help move this region forward. I also think it counts on strong leadership by General Manager Birdsong Terry. I think there have been challenges and opportunities I'm happy to talk about, but I really am interested in your questions if you have them, and I really look forward to bringing the county and RTA in close alignment in terms of our goals and execution.
very good, short and sweet. And being appointed to the Cleveland Foundation is it's just a little check off, right? You bring game, so don't underestimate
Thank you.
yourself.
Thank you.
The role you play. As I said, the board's going good.
Yes, I am learning a tremendous amount. It's a large organization, as you all know. It's very complex. I will not pretend to understand all the facets yet. And that's why I think it's important to, I would love to have the opportunity to continue to learn. I was recently appointed to as chair of the I had to write this down, Organizational Service and Performance Monitoring Committee. I think there's opportunities for me to continue to show leadership on the board.
Thank you. And the working relation with your fellow board members, but also CEO Birdsong is critical. And what I like about the board, they're not a rubber stamp for the CEO, but they take the CEO's direction seriously and tweak it and try to make it better. That's the perfect board, a strong board with a strong CEO working for the greater good of the people that use the service.
I think we have that.
Yeah, that's what I see, and you
Yeah.
help keep that going. When I think about the RTA, I think of wonderful things, but challenges.
Yes.
Right? We get 200 million for this, and we're 400 million, or $40 million short for this. What do you think the financial, tell us, how's the RTA doing as a system, would you say, without getting too deep, because it might not be your expertise?
Yeah, certainly that's an area I'm learning more and more about. I do think we are on in a much stronger place than we were in the past. And I think that's due to really strong leadership over the last couple years, funding that we got through COVID. And we're no doubt, there are challenges ahead, but I think we've been able to put RTA on a strong path forward. I think there are other challenges that, I'm not prepared to speak about today. But one thing I will mention is that we are returning ridership. We're about 70% pre-COVID ridership right now, and we continue to be, I believe, above average in similar markets, and that's going to continue to, I think it's going to be a continued focus for us to continue to increase riders and keep the focus on day-to-day service so we can deliver to county residents as we, continue to keep the finances in place.
Perfect. And just, for me, it's way back when I grew up, everybody took the rapid, everybody took the bus to school. Kind of waned, but it's nice to see it coming back and giving folks the comfort level that, wow, I can hop on a bus and it'll take me somewhere and I don't have to drive my car. And some folks don't have transportation. So it's the ones that don't have transportation need it, and the ones that have the choices, it's getting to the point where they want to use it.
Yeah.
And that's through the direction of our CEO, but also the partnership with the board. That's just how I see it. Questions?
Yes, sir. Through the chair.
Ladies first, my chairwoman.
Thank you, Chairman. The committee that you mentioned that you serve on, what's the functionality of that committee?
So I actually just came from a committee meeting here. I'm missing part of it now, but this is more important.
Okay.
So it's one of the largest committees. One thing that I would say is a really key component of the committee is trying to track our quarterly performance against standard measures and making sure we're delivering on the measures we set out. And that it has been a priority for the board and a priority for the general manager to really have consistent tracking of how we are doing on things like on-time performance, on cleanliness, on safety, on rider perception. And so we have been contracting out the last couple years with an external firm, and we're bringing more of that in-house. And so we're bringing some standardization to how we track our progress and making sure we are making progress. And those come in quarterly reports to this committee, and we're able to ask questions and really better understand how we're moving forward. I hope that helps. The committee covers a ton of different things, but I feel like that is a really important piece of it.
Well, I know that there are multiple major projects in the work. I had an opportunity to, in Maple Heights a couple years ago, when the bus line, the expanded bus line out to Solon, and the partnership between Swage Lock was unveiled. That was amazing for that community and many who use that service for work. And also the reopening of the water line from the flats. And we took a little trip over to the Brown Stadium. That was amazing. But what's the outlook for the organization? Do we believe that the dollars will still come from the federal government to do all the renovations that we need to update and modernize our rail systems?
I wish I could project the future. I'm not going to attempt to do that today. I will say there is a lot of uncertainty. To date, we've had a lot of progress bringing in 48 of 60 new rail cars, for example, to the county. So that's really exciting. And I think that's an opportunity for us to kind of put a new face on RTA and move it into the future. I do want to acknowledge that I think what I've observed is this constant balancing of the day-to-day priorities of riders and just getting people to and from safely, securely, with bigger, longer-term projects and innovation and really being at the forefront. And I think the general manager is really looking more and more to that like forward-looking space as she also balances the day-to-day, which I think is very hopeful. But to your point, we need the finances to do that. And I'm happy to follow up. I'm sure the team can help follow up with more details on the finances. But in general, to date, I think we made a lot of headway, for example, on that major project to bring new cars here. And I think we're just going to have to be real careful about how we continue to allocate that, like balancing those funds between the day-to-day and the larger, more innovative, longer term, and potentially more expensive projects.
You have a lot going on. What do you enjoy most about this assignment?
The confirmation process.
I really appreciate that question. This is my first foray into, I would say, public service in my adult professional life. And it's very different than the Fed, which is not technically government. Many people misunderstand the Federal Reserve. And I love the public comment. It is my favorite part of every meeting. I really enjoy hearing from people directly. It gets me in touch with who we're really trying to help and serve. And that really, like, it reminds me, you know, why I'm spending the 2 hours on a Tuesday morning on West 6th. So, yeah, thank you for the question.
I think we can all agree that public comment is our favorite portion of our meetings, too. What'd you say, Councilman Gallagher?
I know it's not for everybody. I know
Well-
they can run very long, but yeah, I think that's the one piece that I miss in my day job.
Well, thank you for your service. I'd like to add my name, Chairman.
Councilman Hauser?
I won't keep you, Emily, to the chair, to the speaker. When I think of the RTA, I think about our new jail facility and how we have to ensure that our families are able to get out to Garfield and reach their loved ones. Do you have any, this might be beyond your pay grade, do you have any insight on maybe some collaborative measures, or I don't know if the board would have any anything to do with that anyway? Do you have any insight on that?
Not on that particular project. Other people are probably better informed. But I will say, with issues like microtransit or getting, you know, really thinking about transit-oriented development and moving people to places, specific places that might be outside of the routine concentrated range. What I think we have been doing pretty well is learning from other markets about what works and what doesn't. The Solon project was mentioned. I think that there are a lot of learnings there about what does and doesn't work. And we're very interested in leaning on those learnings to make the next project better. So I think that's kind of a constant learning. I can't specifically speak to the jail, but I know that we're very interested in not reinventing the wheel, and certainly not doing something that we certainly want to do the things that have the greatest chance of working.
Appreciate it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Emily.
Michael?
Well, thank you for being here, but I have an answer for Mr. Hauser's question. Actually, earlier on, when we were down on Transport Road, which was as close to the most ideal spot for our county jail, there was an actual RTA stop, rail line stop there. And the RTA came in and coordinated with even more bus routes. With the Garfield site, they've coordinated with us and came in early to have a turnaround on site. So RTA really has been aggressive in a very good manner when it comes to the county in dealing with at least a jail site. So
Wonderful.
we thank you for that.
Thank
Where we
you.
need staff up here, they can answer these
Oh,
better
no,
than I
this
can.
is perfect. But the question I have is through Michael's comments, over this, Michael, is with that kind of decision of a route to take care of the jail, I think it's substantial. Would you see that? And if not, you might not be an expertise, or subject matter expert, but you do have a significant amount of common sense. And with the board's eye seeing something like that, you might be able to catch something. I'm wondering if that's part of the board's, would that fall under the board for something of that magnitude? Just to be able to see, because you got that public comment, they see it on the agenda.
Yep.
So that would be.
No, that's a great question. What I appreciate about being on the board is that we'll get updates on major projects, even though there might not be like a dollar amount attached to it that we need to approve. So that is happening in committee, where we'll do updates or have extra sessions as needed as public comment comes up. If, for example, there is a large response from the community in reaction to something that RTA does, I think that is, we're learning how to continue that process of communication between board and staff, so we are kept up to speed on what's working, what's not, and what we need to do to address any issues.
Thank you. Any more questions? Please add my name, and do I have a motion to pass it under second reading suspension?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, congratulations, keep up the great work.
Thank you.
R 2025-0186 stands approved. Madam Clerk, would you please continue?
Resolution 2025-0198, confirming the county executive's appointment of Anita Gray to serve on the Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County for the term July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2025.
Thank you. There's an amended version.
Yes, sir. So the executive we're requesting a proposed substitute to change the term to July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2029. We made an error in submitting the original packet. And we do not need a second reading suspension of the rules for this.
Thank you very much. Anita Gray.
Good morning. I am Anita Gray. Thank you, Chair Sweeney, for inviting me down here, and thank you to the rest of you. I would be remiss if I didn't thank each and every one of you for your own public service. I know how hard it is, and a lot of you have been doing it for many years, whether you're elected or not. So thank you. Thank you very much for my consideration for the appointment on the Adams Board. I suspect you have my bio in front of you, but I'd like to take a little bit of a diversion and speak a little more personally to you about my own background that's not on that piece of paper. I'm a Kinsman kid, a lifelong Clevelander, and very proud of my own hometown. One of the things I'd like to say is you can take the girl out of Kinsman, you cannot take Kinsman out of the girl. In any event, in terms of family background, which I think is important to my story, my father was born in Sicily. He came as a young boy with his parents and settled in Pennsylvania. Why Pennsylvania? Because he was a miner, and that's the only thing he knew how to do. They had 9 more children, and my grandfather had his eye blown out in a mining accident. So they moved to Cleveland, where they had some family, and they were basically destitute. No one would hire him. They had no money coming in, no help from the government, nothing back in those early days. And so my grandmother did the only thing she knew how to do, which was to make bootleg whiskey. She made enough bootleg whiskey to build a 4-suiter house at 3561 East 149th. And that's where I grew up. Every one of the 10 kids would get married, move in, get out, get married, moved in, get out. My dad, being the oldest, stayed the longest. And I have to tell you, I learned every life lesson that I ever needed to function on Kinsman. And I'm very grateful for that experience. Many years later, I was given an award by the Cleveland's FBI Community Service, and they flew me down to Washington. And as FBI Director Christopher Wray is handing me this beautiful award, I have a photo of the moment I noticed my eyes looked really funny. They were kind of glassed over. Instead of thinking how excited I was to get the award, what am I thinking? If my Nana, my grandmother, could see me now, I'm not sure she'd be so proud. But that was then, this is now, and only thing I could say is only in America. I want to speak personally about how mental health affected my own personal family. I was married, and the daughter had 2 daughters, and my husband became severely mentally ill at the time. He was bipolar and paranoid. Bipolar you could deal with. Paranoid is really, really very difficult. You can tell a paranoid person the first 3 letters of the alphabet, A, B, and C, and a paranoid person will tell you no. The first 3 letters of the alphabet are A, B, and here's proof positive why Z is the next letter. What happened was utter tumult, so we got really up close and personal with mental health on my family. And when it comes to the Adams Board, he spent 6 months at full pay in Laurelwood Hospital. Just add that up, full pay, 6 months. It's a lot of money. He had the wherewithal and the assets to do it. But what about the others who get sick and can't? And this is where the Adams Board steps in. So you have to be, after, I don't want to go into the gory details, but you have to be ready to give back in an area that has affected you so deeply, so personally for so many years. And all I can say is, having been healed a while back, now I'm ready to give back to mental health. And as you see from my resume, I've given back a lot, but never in that area. I first learned about the Adams Board, and in fact, the length and breadth of what the county does for its citizens in 2010, when I was honored to be asked to become the director of the 2010 Community Service Health, Cuyahoga County Community Services Health Levy. And that's where I learned about what you all do and what the county impacts on our day-to-day lives. I really didn't know. I didn't have any reason to be involved with any county, anything at that point. You also, from my background, see that I have a lot of experience, not only as a board member, but directing and working with boards from the nonprofits that I was the director of. And I think that's going to be helpful in the Adams Board. It will soon have a new director. I've been a new director, and I know how hard it is to really get to know an organization and to figure out how to earn the trust of the board and the trust of the people that it serves. And I understand that the bottom line is not egos, but what does it take to move this organization ahead for not only the organization, but again, for the people that they serve in, I would say, increasingly treacherous times right now. So it takes strength, it takes courage, and it takes a belief in the greater good. All I can say is I stand ready to help if you so choose me to do, and I want to thank you for your time, and I'm happy to entertain any questions on any part of my experience that you would like.
Very good. I called Mark Keese a disruptor. I call Anita Gray a legend.
Well, it's called good trouble. I like good trouble.
You are funny. You've been doing this a long time, just helping, and this is your next chapter.
Gray hair.
You have hair. I have no hair and gray. But the Adams Board is going to go through a transition now, and you're the perfect person to keep the rudder straight and focused. And the Kinsman girl, I didn't know that. True blue Clevelander, so you know. Oh, I have no questions for anybody. Michael?
Thanks for being here. I love hearing these stories, the old stories about the greatest generation, and to be raised by the greatest generation, and for us to benefit from the greatest generation. It's really a shame that these young kids nowadays don't really understand exactly what that was. And Band of Brothers was on just Sunday, and I watched it again. And it reminded me of, I had a couple World War II buddies who are since passed. They hung on a long time, and we'd have breakfast every day. And I'd hear these stories. And one of them was Louis. He was over in the Battle of the Bulge. And just to say that, you don't think about it. But these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids in the middle of a forest having stuff thrown at them. And I said, what were you most scared of? And he said, Mike, the ground started moving. And that's when you knew that tigers were on their way. And he goes, that's when you got scared. And I couldn't comprehend it. But I told him, I said, Louis, there's this great show, Band of Brothers on. You ought to watch it because you were there. And he said, you know, I saw it once. I don't need to see it again. And that's just something that is lost in the ether of the world in which we find ourselves now with, thank God, places like the Adams Board. So thank you for the story. I love to hear those things. It reminds me of Ray Gallagher from Brook Park was a Union legend. No relation. His mother was a bootlegger during the Depression and a numbers runner and everything else. And somehow we all made it through, and they made us. And I wish we could express that to the upcoming generations, which I think we're losing. But thank you.
I have to tell you, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to tell that story, and I thought, no guts, no glory. It's part of my past. It helped me become who I am, and I thought it was important. Am I the first to ever tell a story about a bootlegger up here?
In my tenure.
I don't know, but those were the hardened people. Those were the people that were surviving. And Mr. Gallagher, she would pay off the cops. And if they were going to raid her, they'd call. And he was 6 years old, and she goes, get it out, they're coming. And he goes, you know, the old furnaces? He goes, I didn't know what to do, so I threw it in the furnace and blew the house up. And I'm like, you got to write this down. But anyhow, it's just the stories are us, and we're losing that. And it really hurts me.
I could comfortably say it's the first time a bootlegger story about a mother came out here.
What was she going to do?
I don't know. Councilman Schlepper?
Just through the chair, thank you so much for being here. I loved your story very much. I come from a family of, for lack of a better way to put it, women that are hustlers. You know, gotta hustle, making ends meet. But you said something today that really spoke to me about only in America, right? We are a city of immigrants, and I think that when you look around at the tapestry of our city, it's pretty special. So when my grandfather came back from World War II, he immediately went to work in the steel mills here in Cleveland. Born and raised in Cleveland, down off Fleet. And so now, when I look out my office window, I see those steel mills. You every morning when I'm here. And I think about, the sacrifices that him and my grandmother made when, they moved home and everything that became possible for me. So seeing, and hearing your story, and so many others, it's an incredible tapestry that we have. But, looking at your work and the history, I'm incredibly grateful for what you've done for our community and will continue to do. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman?
Thank you, Chair. I also wanted to echo similar sentiments. Thank you for being here. You are an amazing woman. You have given so much over the years in so many different ways. And the fact that you would, come here and choose to share that part of yourself with us, it just goes straight to my heart. I am also someone impacted by family members who have mental health challenges. And I know it's one of the reasons I went into service. One, trying to keep my own sanity, right? But also being a representative of someone that doesn't have it all together. Everything's not perfect, in my world. But I show up every day with the hope that I can make it better for somebody else. And telling your story humanizes you, girl, because you are a legend in our community. And sometimes people don't know what people are going through. So thank you for offering yourself in service. This is a tough assignment. These are real things that families go through, and bringing your passion and your compassion to the issue will only make this board much better. So always good to see you, and thank you for sharing.
I would add one thing that has really impacted me. My daughters and I are lucky to be alive. Thank you, God. I'm deadly serious. My ex lived with us in a big house in Shaker Heights. He was arrested one night. Short while later, it was a crisis intervention call. A short while later, Tanisha Anderson's family called for help. She wasn't so lucky. Mm-hmm. And that really impacted me. Here's this man living in Shaker Heights. He gets this treatment. Tanisha Anderson's family, whom I got to know, I reached out to them, had the same similar kind of situation, and she ended up dead. And I'm a big proponent of crisis management for police. And I know that bad things happen, mostly good things happen with our police.
Yeah.
But crisis intervention training is hugely important.
It definitely is. I know in Shaker, I'm also in Shaker, and I want to say it's about, I don't even know if it's been a full year, but they have a pilot program out there where if you know where I'm
Yes,
going with
I
this,
do.
if police are called, they have access to the social worker or other intervention specialists. So it should be a countywide model. I hope we get there.
Great.
One day, or a nationwide model. Saves lives.
If I can help get it there, I would be very happy to help.
All right, well, you got the charge.
Any
Please
other
add my name,
questions?
Chairman.
Yeah, add my name. And one thing that I want to just, communication with the council, especially with the Adams Board, is important. I know you will, and it's a strong board. And the heavy responsibility you're going to have with picking the right CEO to be able to lead with the direction from the board, vitally important.
That is huge.
And we don't want a 2-year stepping stone person. We want a 6 to 10-year, I'm committed to this town and this county. So if that's just no direction there, that's just a reflection. And you're going to do what you want, but I just wanted to put that
Well,
in.
from your lips to God's ears, that's the way it should be done.
Second reading?
We do not need a second reading suspension.
I want to get her there faster. No. Okay,
Mr. Chair, can we approve the proposed substitute first?
yes, a proposed substitute. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. The amendment is accepted. Can I have a motion on the amended piece of resolution?
So, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One more step. I think you should be worried. That whole council is going to look at you.
Uh-oh.
You ain't got nothing to worry about. Okay. Thanks, Anita.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please.
Resolution 2025-0199, confirming the county executive's appointment of Omar Kurdi to serve on the Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County for the term July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2025.
And, Mr. Chair, we're also asking for a proposed substitute to amend the term to July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2029. We do not need a second reading suspension for this nomination.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Kurdi. And you look excited, so tell us a little about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me here. Honored and grateful, a little anxious. Not because I'm not used to public speaking, but because this appointment means so much more to me than just serving. It's also about representation as an Arab American, especially in a wild climate right now, where sometimes marginalized communities would feel silenced rather than given the opportunity to serve, especially on a board that means so much to me. I'm a CEO of an agency that provides vocational services to adults with disabilities. Friends for Life Rehabilitation Services, been doing it for 10 years. So I breathe service and servicing individuals with disabilities and mental health. I also co-founded and started Arab Americans of Cleveland Young Professionals Network, a nonprofit that helps and supports young professionals, where we do talk about mental health, a taboo in my community. A taboo to the point that when I wanted to seek therapy, my mom told me, "But you're not crazy." I was like, probably am, but but there's nothing wrong with seeking professional help. And I feel being an Arab American serving on this board would allow me to bridge some of the gaps between my community and other marginalized communities and the Adams board. But also, when you think of Adams, you're talking about alcohol, drug addiction, mental health. My stepsister is a recovering alcoholic. She's 40, still dealing with this problem. My brother is a recovering, my mom's gonna be so mad right now because, but I feel like it's important to share. My brother is a recovering drug addict, something that he has dealt with after we lost my dad in 2018, only 6 hours before his lung transplant. So sometimes I think about, why would my brother go that route, and why didn't I go that route? But everyone has their own grieving journey, and sometimes choosing addiction would feel a little easier. And I'm not in a place to judge that, but I learned that I need to be in a place of being supportive and actually helping someone leave that space and providing space to listen. It was hard. It was hard being a family member of someone who's dealing with drug addiction, and having experienced that, and today watching my brother recovering, and he's been sober for 2 years now and working. I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I want to be able to be a vessel for that. And I'm someone who's experienced my own mental health stuff. I have one suicide attempt under my belt in 2012. I was 21 years old, you know, I was young, but I thought that life was not gonna work for me then. And then all it took is one text to a friend of mine and it saved my life. And I wanna be able to speak on that, especially as someone who's Arab, especially as someone who's Muslim, because we don't have enough conversations about that in my community. And I wanna be able to be a vessel for that, because my life is pretty similar to a lot of the lives of people around me, and some are able to speak and some are not. And I feel like this appointment is just much larger, and I'm like, I feel the weight on my shoulders right now. It's much larger than just Omar standing on this podium. I want to be able to be the best representation of my community on this board. I want to be able to advocate on behalf of Adams. I'm scared, just like everyone else, about Medicaid cuts. But one good thing that I have is I love dialogue, and I have good relationships with politicians on both sides of the aisle, whether in the State House or nationally, because I believe in the power of lobbying and advocacy, and I believe in the power of being able to have a conversation with someone who disagrees with me. I want to be able to leverage these skills for Adams in case we do lose more Medicaid funding, because I'm funded by Medicaid in my job. So I know why that funding is important. I want to be able to leverage those skills as well. Sorry if I rambled, but I'm really grateful for this opportunity to let me speak.
It's more like thank you for sharing. Congratulations on your brother.
Thank you.
Glad somebody texted you when you were 21, because you're just going to add a whole bunch of value to this board. Your excitement, but you're new, right? Fresh eyes, energetic. You're going to be fine.
Thank you.
Same thing with the board, picking that CEO. Welcome aboard. Guess what? You have a huge job. You have a vote. Pick the right guy. You're going to do your due diligence, and you're going to select it and see how you did, and I'm very confident.
Thank you.
Your participation and selection will be exactly what we need. I don't need anything else about you. Anybody have further questions? Michael, and then Robert.
Omar, welcome. Thank you for the invite to your organization. I've seen you in your other life, and you're very different. He controlled a room of 500 or 600 people, it seemed, with the flick of a finger. So it was very interesting. I apologize for wearing shorts. I thought it was a casual evening. I got into my Marty Sweeney mode. And I'm like, uh-oh, when I saw the people dressed up, I'm like, I'm in trouble here. But as a Gallagher is wont to do, just pretend, you know?
You looked amazing. Thank you for being there.
But yeah, thank you very much, and you'll be fine on this. This is a very important board. Next to the hospital board at Metro Hospital, I think this is probably the most important, and it defines what we are in Cuyahoga County and what we're supposed to be and what we try to provide. There's no other county in Ohio like Cuyahoga County, where we get a bad rap. We have the poorest people. We have the wildest politicians, or whatever the bad thing is, the burning rivers and everything. But everybody that comes here, and especially when I grew up in Lakewood, but out in Strongsville when I was a councilman out there, and I was in an area where we had a lot of transient business people come through, everybody was like, what is this place? What is going on here? So we have something. I asked the guy that lived out by me, and I said, what do you think's wrong with Cleveland? And he, without thinking, he said, Clevelanders. He goes, you have no idea what you have, and all you do is complain. But with the Adamsport Metro Hospital and other things, and hopefully this new form of government, we can provide for the taxpayers of Cuyahoga County what they need, and most importantly, what they deserve. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Robert?
Thank you, and through the chair. I just wanted to say I appreciated your sentiments this morning. In my own professional work, I work in education, but I say this phrase all the time, let's normalize talking about this. And I love that in just sharing your story, you're normalizing talking about it. And I think that's part of the problem with things surrounding addiction and mental health is that we stigmatize it just as a society generally. And you discuss some of the cultural implications as well for you. My mother's family is Puerto Rican, so, there's this idea of machismo for men, bury it, don't talk about it. And I reject that ideology. So I'm incredibly grateful that you had the courage to tell a little bit of your story. I also think that lived experience is usually the best experience in terms of advocating for others in similar circumstances. So I don't sit on this committee. I'm a guest today, but I've been unbelievably impressed with the folks that I've seen. So thank you so much. And anything that you from us and from me, anytime.
Madam Chairwoman?
Thank you, through the chair. Omar,
Yes.
I'm about to lose my eyelashes up here. You got me crying. I posted something this morning for myself that I want to share for you. I'm just changing from boy to girl or woman to man, but I posted it for myself this morning. I want to share with you. And I forgot what order I posted, but here we go. It says that you are God's boy. Never forget it. Your younger self is so proud of the man that you've become. Bruh, you are not here on accident. You're here on assignment. And when God says it's your time, nothing and no one can stop it. Go after everything you deserve. You are attached to favor. And that was my message to myself this morning. Those are my affirmations. I share them with you. I'm always debating with myself about how much of my own journey is it appropriate to share, right, in public spaces. And, the spirit will move you. Like, sometimes you just don't have control of what comes out of your mouth. And I've been told on too many occasions after speaking about something very deep or really open, how thankful that person was that I shared that, right? Because they were in that moment going through the same thing or experienced it. And I've never got such a purposeful feeling in my life. I don't worry about what my family thinks anymore when I share our business because it's healing. It's healing for us, right? What happens in the dark, it needs to come to light, right? We need to destigmatize all of these things. And none of us are exempt from these problems. But where it gets really special is when we take that trauma that we have gone through, our family members have gone through, and then turn it into something usable for somebody else so they can heal or actualize, and then in turn become something for somebody else, hopefully. And if they don't, if they're just okay, that I think that's a goal we can all live with. So I don't know you. I'm looking forward to getting to know more about you. Councilman Hauser and I have actually been talking about doing a mental health summit, possibly October 10th, which I believe is World Mental Health Awareness Day or something like that, and would love to get your thoughts about what that would look like for your community.
I would absolutely love that.
Right. So thank you for offering yourself in service. Please communicate with us about whatever needs you may have. We look forward to the new leader coming into the organization, but you bring in your cultural awareness and your heart to the job. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman.
Please add my name.
Guess what? None of us really know you. Maybe Michael knows you a little bit. we're all adding our name. Pretty cool. Doesn't happen too often.
Thank you.
Please add everyone's name. All in, can I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Congratulations. Just one more step on.
Thank you so
Next
much.
council meeting is, and probably
Thank
two
you.
more council meetings.
Thank you.
We're very
Take care.
excited to have you.
And
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can we approve the proposed substitute also?
Yeah, we did that already, but don't look at the tapes. No, I'm just kidding.
I move that we approve the substitute.
Second.
Oh.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
Any opposed? Amended substitute is approved.
Thank you.
Last but not least,
Resolution 2025-0200, confirming the county executive's appointment of the Honorable Judge J.J. Costello to serve on the Cuyahoga County Community Corrections Planning Board for the term January 2nd, 2025 through January 1st, 2028.
Thank you, and we are requesting a second reading suspension of the rules for the appointment of the Honorable Judge Costello.
hello, Honorable Judge J.J. Costello.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Let me start off, I want to echo Ms. Gray's comments. Thank you all for being here and doing this. And most importantly, I want to thank everybody that came before me. Man, their willingness to serve. I did not expect, I didn't know what to expect when I came down to this meeting, right? But I didn't expect to almost be brought to tears by everybody else that came before me. So it's incredible the people we got in Cuyahoga County that are willing to serve. My story is not going to be nearly as exciting, but I'll tell you who I am. So I'm the judge in Cleveland Heights. I've been on the bench, the municipal court bench now for 7.5 years, so I'm in my second term. In that role as municipal court judge, I've sentenced numerous defendants, sometimes to jail, but oftentimes to community control probation. That's where my focus is. I serve, in addition to being the judge in Cleveland Heights, I'm the secretary for the Association of Municipal and County Judges of Ohio. I'm the vice president of the more local organization, the Northern Ohio Municipal Judges Association, and so I will bring to this board, although not speaking for those two organizations, I have those conversations with judges throughout the state and the local judges, and we'll bring their concerns to this board as well. And I really am looking forward to serving on this board to find ways to both protect the public, but to reduce the number of offenders that are in our jails, finding ways to really change behavior and rehabilitate those individuals. So with that, I would ask that you pass the resolution and appoint me to this board, and I look forward to serving. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. You're never going to get this 1 hour and 22 minutes. You had to sit back. So I apologize for the delay, but
No worries.
I'm glad you,
It was well,
kinda
it
cool
really
watching.
was. Well, it was, listen, if ever there was a case where I had to sit through a meeting, this was the one I'm okay with, because it was really moving to hear everybody before me, so.
that is pretty
It's
cool.
well worth it.
Great reflection for me. I need to keep that in my head, too. Questions? Hearing none, you're in. Second reading, suspension. Do we have a motion?
I do have a quick question.
Absolutely,
Sorry.
Madam
You let him
Chairwoman.
get off the hook. He sat here all this time.
Get you out of here,
Ask a
man.
question, yeah. You are filling the seat held by a woman that I held dear, Judge K.J. Montgomery.
You're going to bring me to tears again. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we miss her. And she served in Shaker Heights, my city. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your perspective or, you know, what you might bring to this board since you're coming from a suburban court.
Right. So first, let me say that KJ was a mentor of mine, and I learned a lot from her. You got another great judge on the bench there in Shaker Heights, and we've been working together. And all the judges in the municipalities work really well together. And we each have our own perspective. You know, in Cleveland Heights, we have our own difficulties, right? But we see a lot of the same stuff throughout the county. And so, from my perspective, I treat each case, wherever you're coming from or whoever you are, as though it's the most important thing in front of me, because it is. Certainly for them, it is. And so I take the time and listen. And my hope is that in serving on this board, that I can bring something not only to the county, but frankly, bring something back to Cleveland Heights and to my court. I recognize that, listen, I've been on the bench, so as I said, 7.5 years, but I'm far from knowing everything. There will never be a moment in my life where where I think that I'm the smartest person in the room. That's not who I am. So I'm always open to taking things back to the community, and I'm looking forward to bringing that back to Cleveland Heights and bringing my experience to the board.
You are a lawyer,
I am.
so why did you choose to be a judge?
So I will tell you, so I practiced a little over a decade as a lawyer. I love advocating on behalf of clients. I really enjoyed it. But man, there's nothing I like better than being a judge. It is the best. I go to work every day, and it's difficult. It is hard work. It is trying work. I do my best not to bring it back to my house, right? The stresses like everybody else. But it is absolutely the best. And especially at the municipal court level where, from my perspective, I'm seeing oftentimes first offenders, certainly not the most serious offenders, right? Those are getting down to the county. But I think I'm meeting people where they are, and hopefully I am, and meeting them at a moment where hopefully I can change their course. You know, I'm meeting someone oftentimes that has made, maybe it's their first bad decision, maybe it's multiple, right? But hopefully meeting them at a point where now we can move them in a different direction.
Last question, Chairman. Since you started down that pathway, do you have any diversion type programs that you administer out of your court that might be, you know, replicated?
So we do have diversion programs in my court. So my probation department, when we find a case, when the city and the defense believes that we have a case that's appropriate for diversion, I accept them into our diversion program. Generally in our court, it's nonviolent offenses and first-time offenders, and we give them a number of conditions placed upon them. As long as they meet those conditions over a certain period of time, they're then able to have the case dismissed and have it sealed. And so we do have that. We also, we don't have any specialized dockets in the Cleveland Heights Municipal Court. That is an option in Ohio. What I found is based on our size and the volume, although we're one of the busiest municipal courts in the county, and that makes us, by definition, one of the busiest municipal courts in the state of Ohio. Because I've been able to partner with the Cleveland Municipal Court and their specialized courts, Veterans Court, mental health docket, things like that, we use those a decent amount as well. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to continuing to have those kind of collaborations.
Same question, Part A. Your thoughts about our diversion center, the counties?
So in terms of the,
Do you utilize it?
so that isn't, that's not something that I would utilize in terms of, and I don't honestly know in terms of I think that's sort of when the police would get them, potentially bring them to those locations. So I can't speak to, I think it's an incredible idea, but I can't speak to in terms of my own use of it. That's not something that once they get to me, it's a different route.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman?
To the chair, to the judge. Judge, I missed your speech, but I am aware of the great work you're doing in Cleveland Heights, so I would like to add my name to your recommendation. And just knowing you personally, I think you will bring great insight to the Community Corrections Planning Board, and so I wish you much success.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Every time you meet Michael, it makes you go to First Watch in Cleveland Heights. That's his home little place that you got to do
Good spot.
business at. JJ Costello, great brand. Is that your ballot name?
It is.
That's James John, Joseph?
James Joseph, my two grandfathers. So when I was young, in order to, like a good judge, right, finding the middle ground, I took the two initials rather than one or the other. So.
Oh, that is cool. But I love it. Great brand. You know what you're doing. Any questions? Please add my name, Michael's name, Robert's name.
My name.
And second reading suspension. May I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? Good luck. We'll see, or continue the great work, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Any miscellaneous? Here and none. This show's over.